I killed my sister with my own hands, or at least, that's what the world thinks happened when I shoved her off that balcony in the Hamptons, her screams echoing over the crashing waves below. But here's the controversial truth. I didn't push Evelyn. She jumped, and in that final twist of fate, our souls collided in a freak accident that swapped us forever, leaving me trapped in her perfect life while her ghost haunted mine. And the real shock? I didn't lift a finger to stop it. I watched, waited, and planned the perfect revenge from inside her skin, because after she framed me for her crimes, stealing my future, and letting me rot in prison for 5 years, mercy was never an option. It started on a humid August night in 2023, the kind of sticky Manhattan evening where the air clings to your skin like a bad decision. I'd just been released from Rikers after serving time for embezzlement, Evelyn's embezzlement, to be exact. My big sister, the golden child, the Harvard MBA who climbed the ranks at Vanguard Capital like it was her birthright. She was the one siphoning millions from the firm's pension fund to fuel her coke habit and those Hamptons weekends with Wall Street sharks. But when the auditors came knocking, it was my name on the dummy accounts she'd forged in my handwriting, my social security number tied to the offshore wires. Lily's always been unstable, she'd whispered to the board, her voice dripping with that fake concern only family can pull off. The stress got to her. We have to protect the firm. Protect the firm. That's what Dad always said, too. Our father, Harlan Whitaker, the silver-haired titan who'd built Vanguard from a two-man brokerage into a Wall Street behemoth. He believed in legacy, in bloodlines, in sweeping dirt under the Persian rugs of our Upper East Side penthouse. When the scandal broke, he didn't fight for me. He lawyered up, cut me off, and let the prosecutors paint me as the black sheep who'd tarnished the family name. 5 years inside, staring at concrete walls, replaying every forged signature, every late-night call where Evelyn begged me to just hold this for me. Lil, it's temporary. Temporary, my ass. By the time I walked out those gates, parole papers in hand, I was 32, broke, and burning with a rage that tasted like battery acid. The first thing I did on the outside was call Evelyn. Not to beg. Oh no, that ship had sailed. I called to thank her. Sis, I said, my voice steady over the crackle of the payphone. You taught me everything I needed to know about survival. See you soon. She laughed, that tinkling champagne flute laugh that masked her venom. Lily, honey, stay out of trouble. Dad's hosting the annual retreat next week. Don't show your face. As if I had a choice. As if I wasn't already plotting my way back into the fold. The Whitaker family retreat was always a spectacle. 3 days at our sprawling estate in the Hamptons, white sails on the lawn, catered lobster rolls, and enough Chateau Margaux to drown a small army. It was where deals were sealed, alliances forged, and old wounds picked clean under the guise of family bonding. Evelyn, of course, was the star. At 35, she was VP of Acquisitions, engaged to a senator's son, and pregnant with what Dad called the next generation of Whitakers. Me? I was the ghost, the parolee crashing the party uninvited, my beat-up Subaru kicking up gravel on the private drive like an unwelcome intruder. I arrived just as the sun dipped low, painting the ocean in blood-orange hues. The house loomed like a cathedral of glass and stone, all sharp angles and in different luxury. Guests milled on the terrace, suits from Goldman, skirts from McKinsey, faces I'd memorized from society pages during my lockdown. Dad spotted me first, his scotch glass pausing mid-sip. Lily, he boomed, that baritone trained on boardrooms and backroom deals. What in God's name are you doing here? No hug, no welcome home. Just that glare, the one that said I'd already lost. Evelyn slinked up beside him, her hand on her barely there bump, white linen dress billowing like she was some fertility goddess. Dad, let's not make a scene. Lily's probably just confused. Her eyes met mine, cool as sea glass. Up close, I could see the cracks, the faint lines from too many lines, the hollows under her eyes from chasing highs. She looked invincible, though, flanked by power. I forced a smile, the kind I'd practiced in therapy sessions at Rikers. Just wanted to congratulate you on the baby, Ev. And Dad, Happy early retirement. Heard you're stepping down to chairman emeritus. The firm's in good hands. Lies, all of it. Dad wasn't retiring. He was transitioning, handing the reins to Evelyn while I rotted. But the hook was set. They let me stay, under sufferance, assigning me a room in the guest wing like a distant cousin. That night, over filet mignon and whispers of IPOs, the betrayal replayed in my head like a scratched vinyl. It wasn't just the framed job. It was the secrets Evelyn buried deeper than the money. Dad knew, or at least suspected. I'd found emails in her laptop once, back when we shared a brownstone, casual CCs to him about contingency funds and Lily's volatility. He'd covered for her before, back in college when she got caught plagiarizing her thesis. Family first, he'd said then, bailing her out with a donation to the dean.
Me?
I'd always been the fixer. The one who took the heat for sibling squabbles, the one who covered her bar tabs when she overdraft. Gratitude?
Huh.
She repaid me by making me the fall guy, whispering to the feds that I had mental health issues, citing my erratic journals, pages she'd twisted from therapy notes. As dessert plates cleared, I slipped away to the library, the room where Dad kept his first editions and his real ledgers, the ones off books. The air smelled of leather and regret. I was rifling through a drawer, old photos, yellowed contracts, when Evelyn appeared in the doorway, silhouetted against the hall light. Nostalgic, Lil? Or just scavenging? I straightened, heart pounding, just remembering how you used to promise we'd run this place together. Sisters against the world. She stepped in, closing the door with a soft click. That was kid stuff.
You've always been the weak link. Dad saw it.
Everyone did. Her voice dropped, conspiratorial. But hey, prison toughened you up, right? Maybe now you get it, survival of the fittest. I wanted to lunge then, wrap my hands around that smug throat.
But no.
Revenge isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with landmines. You're right, I said instead. Teach me your ways, Ev. One last Whitaker lesson. She bought it, of course. Over the next 2 days, she paraded me around like a rehabilitated pet, introducing me to investors as my resilient little sister, all while slipping me barbs about my lost years. Dad watched, approving, as if my presence validated his mercy. But under the surface, I was mapping the estate, the hidden safe in the wine cellar, the security cams with blind spots, the balcony off the master suite where the railing was loose from last winter's storm. The climax built on the final night, the gala dinner under the stars. Tents glowed with fairy lights, a string quartet sawed at Vivaldi, and Evelyn held court, her engagement ring catching the fireflies. Dad gave a toast, slurring slightly on the Armagnac, praising her vision, her poise, her unborn heir. To Evelyn, the heart of Whitaker legacy. Then, glancing my way like an afterthought, and to family, flaws and all.
Flaws.
That's what I was. The glitch in the system. I excused myself early, feigning a migraine, and waited in the shadows of the upper balcony. Evelyn followed an hour later, high on whatever she'd snorted in the powder room, heels clicking like accusations. Can't handle the spotlight, Lil? Never could. Come closer, I said, voice steady. I have something for you. She leaned on the railing, peering over the edge at the roiling Atlantic below. What, another sob story? That's when it happened, the freak twist no one could script. A gust whipped up from nowhere, the kind of Hampton squall that turns calm to chaos in seconds. The railing groaned, rusted bolts giving way. Evelyn teetered, arms flailing, her eyes locking on mine in that split second of terror. Not fear, but calculation. She reached for me, or maybe pushed, impossible to tell, and then we were tangled, bodies slamming against the cold iron. Lightning cracked the sky, illuminating the horror. Her scream cut short as she plummeted, but in that electric flash, something tore loose inside me. A jolt, like live wires crossing, souls, essences, whatever you call it in this godforsaken world. I felt it rip through my veins, a cold fire swapping places. When I hit the deck, gasping, it was my body sprawled there, broken and still. But I was inside her. Looking down at my own face, pale and twisted in death's rictus, Evelyn's manicured hands flexing into fists that were now mine. The partygoers rushed up, screams fracturing the night. Dad knelt by me, wailing, "Lily."
No.
Evelyn's fiancé, now my fiancé, cradled her head, sobbing.
And me?
I staggered back, Evelyn's voice, my voice now, emerging in a whisper. She pushed me. I tried to stop her. Murder. That's what they charged me with, but since I was dead, it was all headlines and hauntings. The autopsy said accident, loose railing, high winds, but the whispers? They stuck. Evelyn Whitaker, the victim, the survivor. And inside her skin, I grieved publicly, plotted privately. The swap wasn't magic, it was science gone wrong or right, depending on your view. Turns out, Dad had been funding experimental neurotech at a black site lab upstate, body mapping for enhanced executives, soul-adjacent uploads to cheat death. Evelyn knew. She'd been testing it, tweaking for her addictions. The fall triggered a feedback loop in the implants we'd both gotten years ago, harmless trackers, Dad called them. Now, I was her. Memories layered like film negatives, her cravings itching under my skin, but my rage burning brighter. The first month was hell. Waking in her silk sheets, staring at her reflection, same sharp cheekbones, but eyes that were mine, haunted. I had to mimic her. The purr in her laugh, the tilt of her head during board meetings. Dad leaned on me. Us, grieving Lily's suicide by murder, pushing Vanguard stock through the roof on sympathy buys. Controversial? You bet. Feminists decried the hysterical sister trope. Tabloids speculated affairs. I fed the fire, dropping hints in interviews. Lily was always jealous. Unstable. But revenge simmered. Evelyn's secrets weren't just the embezzlement. They were Dad's. The pension fund? A slush for his mistresses, his political bribes. She'd covered for him, framing me to deflect from a deeper audit. Proof was in the safe, ledgers, recordings. I waited for the right moment, her body a perfect Trojan horse. 6 months in, at the annual shareholder gala in the Rainbow Room, I struck. Dad, frielier now, raised a glass to resilience. I slipped into the coat check, palmed the USB from my clutch. Evelyn's clutch, with the decrypted files I'd emailed myself from her, my laptop. Plugged into the AV system during the slideshow of Vanguard's bright future, the screen flickered. Not projections, grainy footage of Harlan Whitaker in a D.C. hotel, envelopes changing hands with a senator, wire transfers to Cayman shells, Evelyn's voiceover, giggling, Daddy's little insurance policy. Gasps rippled through the tuxedos. Dad's face drained of color. Evelyn, what? I stepped forward, her poise my weapon. Truth time, Dad. Lily found it all. That's why you let her take the fall. Family first, right? The room erupted, cops swarmed from the shadows, tipped off anonymously. Securities fraud, money laundering. Dad arrested in cuffs, sputtering denials. Evelyn's fiancé bolted, the pregnancy a lie, early termination. Her diary confessed.
But the twist?
As they dragged him away, Dad locked eyes with me, really saw me. You're not her, he hissed low enough for only us. The implants, the swap, he'd suspected, tested. You think this ends at Lily? I built you both. I'll bury you again.
He didn't.
The feds unraveled everything. Vanguard gutted, assets seized. I played the whistleblower. Evelyn the redeemed. Therapy sessions, real ones, dredged her demons. I quit the coke cold, her body rebelling but mine in control. Controversial decisions? Absolutely. I kept her life, the penthouse, the corner office, donating chunks to Riker's reform, but sleeping on my old twin bed some nights, whispering apologies to a ghost. The ending? Not tidy. Dad died in custody, heart attack, but rumors of poison swirled. Did I tip the guards? Evelyn's soul, if it lingered, manifested in nightmares, her voice begging forgiveness. I forgave nothing. Last week, at the sentencing for the board cronies, I stood in her power suit, toasting with ginger ale. To new beginnings. Happy?
For some.
Tragic?
If you mourn the dead. Me?
I'm free, finally, swapped into a life I earned through hell, debating daily if the revenge was justice or just another betrayal. But here's the real hook. What if the swap wasn't an accident? What if Dad engineered it, his final gift, a way for Lily to inherit without the baggage? The lab logs vanished, but in her safe a note. For the strongest Whitaker.
Who won?
You decide. Living as Evelyn was like wearing a straitjacket tailored to perfection, snug, suffocating, but oh so flattering in the right light. The first week after the gala fallout, I holed up in the penthouse, curtains drawn against the paparazzi drones, buzzing like angry hornets. Her body moved differently. Smoother strides in Louboutins, a sway that turned heads in elevators. But the cravings hit hard, nights where I'd wake sweating, fingers twitching for the powder she'd stashed in the vanity. I flushed it all, watched it swirl down the marble drain like confetti from a funeral. Her phone, my phone now, blew up with condolences and condemnations. So sorry about your sister, from old sorority sisters who'd ghosted me in prison. You brave bitch, from Wall Street bros who'd bet on Dad's downfall. And the hate mail. Whitaker whore, karma's a bitch. Controversial? The headline screamed it. Heiress exposes dynasty, but at what cost? Feminists hailed me as a survivor. Conservatives called it a family implosion, proof of liberal excess. I leaned into the chaos, granting interviews to Vanessa Vanjie on CNN, tears artfully smudged. Lily was my everything. Dad. He warped us both. Underneath, I was excavating. Evelyn's memories bled through in flashes, hers, not mine, like static on an old TV. Childhood Christmases where Dad pitted us against each other for his approval, spelling bees, piano recitals, mock negotiations over dessert. Evelyn's the closer, he'd say, while I got the participation trophy. Teen years, her first affair with his partner, covered up with a European tour. The embezzlement? Born from her infertility panic, IVF bills stacking, Dad's refusal to fund unless she proved her mettle. So she stole, forged my name because you were always the disposable one, Lil. I hated her more for the pity, but those memories were gold. Using her biometrics, I accessed Vanguard servers. Backups Dad thought firewalled. Emails, voicemails, proof he knew about the frame job from day one. Handle it quietly, he'd texted her. Lily's expendable. Expendable. The word fueled me through boardroom battles, where interim execs eyed me like a ticking bomb. My first controversial call, firing the lot. Clean slate, I announced in the Glass Tower's war room, overlooking Times Square's neon frenzy. 30 suits, pink-slipped with golden parachutes. Too generous, critics said, enabling the corrupt. But it bought loyalty from the ranks below, the analysts who'd whispered about Dad's skeletons. Evelyn's revolution, they called it.
Me?
I called it Step 1. Step 2 was personal, tracking the senator's son, Blake Harrington. Evelyn's ex-fiancé, who'd proposed with a rock the size of a golf ball and bolted when the cuffs clicked. He was holed up in his D.C. brownstone, lawyering up against accessory charges. I drove down in her Audi, top down, wind-whipping blonde extensions. I died back to my natural chestnut, arriving unannounced at midnight. The doorman waved me up. Old habits. Blake answered in boxers and a scowl, Scotch breath heavy.
Ev?
What the hell? Miss me? I purred, her flirt in my throat. Slipped inside before he could slam the door. The place reeked of entitlement. Leather club chairs, walls of first editions Dad had sourced. We need to talk about the baby. His face crumpled, guilt, not grief. I didn't know about the termination. She said it was a false positive. Liar. Evelyn's diary detailed the coercion, his demands for an heir, her desperation. I circled him, heels clicking like a countdown. You knew about the fund, too. Dad's donations to your campaign? Dirty money. He lunged then, grabbing my wrist, her wrist, delicate bones bruising easy. You think you can threaten me? Your family's done. I twisted free, years of prison yard self-defense kicking in. Dropped him with a knee to the groin, then the USB in his face. One click, and it's all over Fox. Or we settle. Annulment, NDA, and you testify against Dad's cronies. He wheezed, nodding. Victory tasted like ash. Evelyn would have blackmailed harder, but I wanted clean. Controversial? Hell yes. Leaking his testimony later sparked debates. Empowering or extortion? I didn't care. It was progress. Back in Manhattan, the hauntings intensified. Evelyn's soul, or echo, manifested in mirrors, her reflection overlaying mine, lips mouthing thief. Nightmares of the fall, her hand reaching, mine pulling. I consulted the lab tech's Dad had on payroll, Dr. Harlan Voss, a wiry MIT dropout with guilt eyes. The swap's unstable, he admitted over black coffee in a midtown diner. Implants were prototypes for neural mapping, not transference. Your essences are entangled. She might bleed back. Bleed back. The words chilled. But Voss had logs. Dad's overrides, forcing the accident. He predicted the squall, weakened the railing remotely via smart home hacks. Wanted you in her body, the vessel, to preserve the legacy without scandal.
Dad.
The puppet master. Rage boiled anew. I could have exposed him post-mortem, but that was too easy. No. I'd dismantle from within. The tension peaked at the congressional hearings, fall leaves carpeting D.C. like bloody warnings. I testified in a Navy sheath, Evelyn's poise masking my tremor. Cameras flashed as I detailed the slush fund, the swap framed as experimental therapy gone wrong, not sci-fi lunacy. My father sacrificed my sister to save his empire, I said, voice cracking for effect. The room gasped, pundits exploded. Hoax or horror? Blared MSNBC. Conservatives cried deep state psyop, liberals corporate cannibalism. Blake corroborated, sweating under lights. But the twist hit mid-session. A leaked memo, Voss's doing, revealing Dad's endgame. Not just legacy, immortality. The implants? Backdoors for his consciousness upload. He'd planned to overwrite Evelyn post-retirement, using the baby as a host if needed. Me? Collateral. Swap to tie loose ends. The hearings adjourned in uproar. I fled to the Hamptons, waves crashing like accusations. In the master suite, balcony rebuilt but boards creaking, I stood where it happened. You win, Dad, I whispered to the dark. But did I? Her body betrayed then, cramping, fever spiking. Voss's warning, rejection. Evelyn's essence, fighting back. I collapsed, visions swirling, her memories of love, twisted by neglect, mine of betrayal, sharpened by fire. Who was I now? Lily in Evelyn's shell, or something forged in the swap? Dawn broke gray. I rose, stronger. The revenge wasn't done. Dad's ghost lingered in board votes, in Blake's alimony checks. But for the first time, I felt whole. Controversial piece? Maybe. The debate raged online. Villain or victim? I scrolled from her, my yacht, smiling. Winter gripped New York like a grudge, snow piling on the penthouse ledges, muffling the city's roar to a dull hum. 4 months post-hearings, and Vanguard was a husk, rebranded as Phoenix Equity under my stewardship, but ghosts haunted every merger. I'd hired Voss full-time, his lab now a skunk works in the basement, tweaking implants to stabilize the swap. You're at 87% integration, he reported weekly, charts glowing on holoscreens. But her neural patterns spike during stress. Like she's watching. Watching. The word crawled under my skin. Evelyn's bleed-throughs had evolved. Not just dreams, but impulses. I'd catch myself reaching for a cigarette, her habit, not mine, or flirting with a junior exec, her charm on autopilot. In board meetings, I'd blank on deals she'd closed, forcing awkward pauses that execs chalked up to post-trauma. Trauma. If only they knew the half. The betrayal deepened with each disclosure. Dad's files, unlocked via Voss's hacks, revealed layers, not just the fund, but human costs. Migrant workers in Vanguard's supply chains vanished after whistleblowing, rivals ruined by planted scandals. Evelyn wasn't the architect. She was the eager apprentice. One video, Timestamped 2020, her in Dad's study, laughing as he outlined my frame-up. Lily's soft. She'll fold under pressure. Use her journals, make it look like mania. My journals, therapy dumps on mom's overdose, ruled suicide, but now? Suspect. I burned them in the fireplace, ashes swirling like vengeful spirits. Mom's death was the original sin, Dad's first cover-up. Pills laced by his hand, insurance payout funding the firm's pivot. Evelyn knew, had helped stage the scene. Family protects family, she'd cooed then, 12 to my 9. Protection? It was a cage. My controversial pivot, philanthropy with teeth. I funneled Phoenix profits into a foundation, Lily's legacy, exposing corporate sins. First target, Blake's family steel mills, union busting in Pennsylvania. I leaked manifests of child labor subcontractors, timing it with his re-election bid. He called voice venom. You're destroying everything, Ev. This isn't you. It's all me. I shot back, her sultry tone laced with my ice. The you who never saw. He hung up, polls tanked. Debates flared. Vigilante justice or righteous reckoning. Protests outside Phoenix HQ chanted my name. Evelyn's name, half hero, half harpy. But the tension coiled tighter. Voss warned of echo amplification, Evelyn's essence growing bolder. One night, post-gala at the Met, I blacked out in the limo. Woke to bruises on her, my thighs. Driver averted eyes. Flash. Her memory. A rough encounter with a donor, consensual blur. Rage surged, not at her, but the system that normalized it. I fired the driver, sued the donor anonymously. Me Too 2.0, headlines crowed. Inside, I wondered, was I avenging Lily or purging Evelyn? The climax brewed in spring, cherry blossoms mocking the decay. An anonymous tip, Voss, I suspected, led to a hidden server, Dad's upload backups. He digitized his mind pre-arrest, fragments in cloud vaults. Worse. Contingencies for vessel reclamation. If the swap failed, a kill switch, nanites in the implants, triggered remotely, dissolving neural bridges. Suicide by tech. I confronted Voss in the lab, fluorescent hum underscoring my fury. Did you know? He paced, lab coat flapping. Harlan was obsessed. Thought he could cheat death, jump bodies like stocks. You were the beta, Evelyn the prime. The fall? Engineered to test transference under duress.
Beta.
The word stung.
And the switch. Can he come back?
Voss hesitated. Fragments, maybe. If triggered. He showed code, a dead man's switch, linked to Dad's offshore trigger, Blake's phone.
Blake.
The missing link. I drove to D.C. again, uninvited, storming his office amid aides scattering like roaches. He barricaded in the Oval knockoff, face gaunt. What now, Evelyn? My career's ash because of you. I slapped the tablet down, screenshots of the code. Or Dad's. He wired you as failsafe. Pull the trigger. You inherit his shadows. His laugh barked, hollow. Legacy? Your old man's poison. But yeah, he promised control the vessel, control the empire. Confession spilled. Dad's grooming, Evelyn's complicity. They'd planned my erasure post-frame, but the swap complicated it. You were supposed to self-destruct by now. I lunged, pinning him to the desk, her strength surprising us both. Pull it. End this. He froze, finger hovering over his phone. Then, fuck you both. Smashed it, screen spiderwebbing. The kill switch fizzled, Voss's override, remote. Relief flooded, but the twist gutted. Blake's eyes gleamed. Too late. Harlan's already uploading, through the Foundation servers. Your legacy app? Backdoored. Panic clawed. Lily's legacy app, my baby, crowdsourcing whistleblows compromised. Dad's consciousness, worming in like malware. I fled, tires screaming south. Back in the lab, Voss scrambled. Firewalls, purges. But echoes hit. Dad's voice in my head, baritone boom. Silly girl. Blood calls to blood. Evelyn's essence surged then, ally or adversary. Her memory, A hidden protocol. Mercy kill for Dad's hubris. I triggered it, code fingers flying, her expertise my will. Servers fried. Digital pyre. Blake turned state's evidence next day, spilling all for immunity. Trials loomed. Corporate Gothic, American as apple pie gone rotten. Summer solstice. I stood on the rebuilt balcony. Ocean whispering secrets. The swap stabilized. Voss's patch holding. But who was I? Lily's fire in Evelyn's form, or a hybrid debating her own monstrosity. Revenge tasted bittersweet. I toppled thrones, but the throne was mine. Unwanted, unyielding. By July's swelter, Phoenix equity was Phoenix indeed, rising leaner, meaner, with me at the helm in a corner office that overlooked the Hudson like a conqueror's view. The trials dominated cable news. Dad's cronies in the dock, Blake snitching from witness stands, me the star turncoat. Evelyn Whitaker, saint or serpent, queried the Atlantic, my face, her face, plastered in profile, evoking Valkyries and vipers. I played it coy, donating testimony fees to women's shelters, but inside, the merge warred, Lily's moral compass clashing with Evelyn's pragmatism. The bleed-throughs peaked during depositions, Dad's ghost voice narrating like a bad director's cut. You're playing my game now, daughter. I'd jolt in the box, attorneys mistaking it for nerves. Truth? His upload fragments had latched. Nanites Voss couldn't fully excise. They whispered strategies, hostile takeovers, backroom deals. I ignored most, but one stuck, acquiring Harrington Steel, Blake's crumbling empire, to gut it from within. Controversial? Understatement. Labor unions picketed Phoenix HQ, signs screaming, Evelyn eats workers. Pundits debated, economic Darwinism or vengeful purge. I justified it in op-eds for the Journal, reclaiming stolen futures. But nights, in the penthouse sauna, steam clouding mirrors, I'd confront the hybrid. Who are you becoming? Voss had answers, sort of. Over takeout foe in the lab, his guilty pleasure. He mapped my brain scans. Lily's empathy lobes firing strong. Evelyn's ambition centers hypertrophied. You're evolving, he said, chopsticks pausing. The swap's creating a third entity. But Harlan's code, it's adaptive, could overwrite if you falter. Falter. The fear gnawed. I'd built safeguards. Therapy with a neuroshrink, no implants in new hires, ethics board stacked with ex-inmates. Yet temptations lurked. A rival CEO, smooth as bourbon, pitched a merger over stakes at Peter Luger. Evelyn, let's bury the hatchet in someone else's back. Her reflex, wink, negotiate. My hand, steady, declining. Not my style anymore. But the real test came in August, Dad's would-be birthday. I hosted a memorial at the Hamptons estate. Ironic wake for the living dead. Guests, survivors, skeptics, society leeches sniffing rebirth. Blake showed, paroled early on good behavior. Eyes hungry. Congrats on the steel buyout, he toasted, flute clinking mine. Poetic. Practical. I corrected, her smile weaponized. Later, on the terrace, stars pricking the velvet sky, he cornered me. Harlan's proud. You closed the circle. I shoved him against the balustrade. Echo of the fall. He lost. We all did. But his hand on my arm sparked. Evelyn's memory, their first tryst here, passionate haze. Impulse surged, hers, to kiss, mine to knee. I chose the latter, his grown music. The night unraveled in confessions. Blake admitted planting the frame's seeds, Dad's orders. Evelyn was complicit, but you, Lily, you were the threat. Too honest. Honest. The word mocked. I'd covered for them all. Evelyn shoplifts as kids, Blake's DUIs in college. Gratitude? A shank in the dark. Dawn brought the twist. A courier package, unmarked, Voss's seal. Inside, a vial of nanite antidote, note in a scroll. For the vessel. Choose your echo. Antidote? To sever Dad's fragments, or Evelyn's. Scans showed them intertwined now. My consciousness the glue. Purge one, risk the other. I drove to the lab, vial glinting like absolution. Voss waited, face ashen. Harlan anticipated. The code's viral, spread to Phoenix servers via the app. If you inject, it cascades. Empire crashes or you revert. Revert. Back to Lily's shell? Buried, perhaps, but free. Or stay, hybrid queen, tainted throne. Tensions snapped. Sirens wailed. Feds, tipped on residual fraud. Voss bolted. I smashed the vial, shards drawing blood. Hers, mine. Burn it, I ordered, firewalls igniting digital infernos. Phoenix stock tanked 40%, but clean slates wiped. Blake turned again, this time against me. Leaked Evelyn's affair logs, painting Vigilante as vixen. Scandal swirled. Whitaker witch hunt. I lawyered up, countersuing for defamation. Debates polarized. Justice for Lily trended with Evelyn exposed. Protests turned violent. Eggs at the tower. My detail beefed. In the eye, solitude. I visited Rikers incognito, talking to inmates like old friends. How'd you cope? A lifer shrugged. You don't. You adapt. Adapted. The hybrid's creed. Fall equinox, equilateral justice. Voss surfaced in witness protection, email cryptic. You're the strongest, Whitaker. Harlan's wrong.
Wrong.
The validation stung. Revenge's high faded to hollow. I'd avenged. But at what fracture? The empire teetered, but I stood, swapped, scarred, sovereign. Autumn's chill seeped into November, leaves carpeting Central Park like fallen soldiers, mirroring the boardroom battlegrounds I'd scorched. Phoenix clawed back. Modest gains on green initiatives, my Evelyn initiative for ethical AI and finance. But the hybrid hummed, a low buzz of dual voices, Lily's whisper urging grace, Evelyn's hiss demanding more. Dad's fragments? Dormant, but stirring in stress spikes, like a cancer in remission. The endgame loomed with a federal sentencing, Dad's empire on trial, me the key witness turned defendant in countersuits. Blake's leaks had snowballed, forged docs implying I'd orchestrated the swap, Evelyn's suicide pact with Lily. Absurd, but sticky, conspiracy nuts on X-spun yarns of Illuminati uploads, deepfake demos going viral. I countered with transparency, live-streamed therapy sessions, raw as open veins. This is the cost of truth. I told the camera, tears real, Lily's grief for lost years, Evelyn's for squandered potential. Controversial apex, the immunity deal. Feds offered full exoneration if I testified against remaining cronies, but it meant outing the swap fully. Implants, transference, the sci-fi underbelly. Admit you're Lily, the prosecutor pressed in a fluorescent conference room, coffee stale. It humanizes the fraud as family tragedy. Humanizes? Or crucifies? I paced, her heels echoing. And if I don't? Phoenix folds. He shrugged. Your call. But Harlan's ghost wins either way.
Ghost.
The word triggered it, a surge, Dad's voice booming. Take the deal, vessel. Preserve the blood. I recoiled, slamming the table. Voss's antidote shards had weakened him, but not killed. In the hotel suite after, I self-medicated, bourbon neat, Evelyn's vice, Lily's resolve crumbling. Blake called at 2 a.m., voice slurred. Saw the stream. Pathetic, Ev. Come clean, or I'll bury you with Harlan.
Bury.
The echo chamber closed. I traced the line to his hideout, a seedy Jersey motel, down on his luck. Arrived pre-dawn, rain sheeting windshields. He answered disheveled, gun in hand, staged I knew. End of the line. I stepped in, rain dripping from her coat. Pull it. Be the hero. He wavered, barrel trembling. You ruined me. For what? Some dead sister's grudge. Justice, I said, stepping closer. Yours too, if you flip right. The shot didn't come. Instead, collapse, overdose, pills scattered. His note, later. Can't live with the ghosts. Controversial? Media frenzy. Murder by proxy? I was cleared, suicide, corroborated by cams I'd hacked en route. Back in city, the climax crested at sentencing. Federal courthouse, marble halls echoing footsteps like judgments. I took the stand in a black sheath, morning chic, facing the judge, a stern woman with eyes like steel. "Ms. Whitaker," she intoned, "your testimony has dismantled a syndicate. But the personal toll? Elaborate." I did. The frame, the fall, the swap. Not metaphor, literal. Gasps rippled. Sketches captured her, face twisted in revelation. "I'm Lily Whitaker," I declared, voice steady. "Swapped into my sister's body by my father's tech. This revenge? It was survival." Chaos. Objections, recesses, viral clips. Voss testified remotely, validating the science, prototypes, ethics breaches. The twist inverted. Dad's uploads? Not immortality, but control, a virus to puppeteer heirs. Blake's death? Catalyst, exposing the final code in his phone debris. Verdicts reigned, cronies jailed, Phoenix nationalized briefly, then returned under oversight.
Me?
Acquitted, but scarred, probation, psych evals. The public split, swap sister savior or Franken-Whitaker fraud. Debates forums lit. If souls swap, is revenge murder? Family or Frankenstein? Winter solstice brought quiet. Penthouse aglow with city lights. I hosted no one, just Voss, toasting with eggnog. Integration at 98%, he scanned. "You're you now." Singular. Singular. The hybrid settled. Lily's heart, Evelyn's edge, Dad's ambition pruned. I sold the estate, donated proceeds to swap victim funds. Ironic, as I was the only known. Traveled light, Amtrak to Chicago, anonymity in crowds. But the final hook, a letter, postmarked Rikers, from my old cellmate.
Heard your story, Lil.
If it's true, visit. Inside, a doodle, balcony fall, two figures merging. Coincidence? Or Evelyn's last echo, forgiving? Ending?
Nota y dibao.
I walk free, body borrowed, soul reclaimed, but debate lingers. Did revenge heal or hollow? Happy for the toppled, tragic for the throne's weight.
Me?
I choose the tracks ahead, swapped but striding, the American Dream's dark remix. In the end, the real controversy. Would you swap back?